So now for the STEM activity, science, technology, engineering, and math. So we have three houses, one that was built out of straw, one out of sticks, and one out of bricks. Well, we don't all have little bricks at home, but we may have some blocks. So I used some tall dry grass I had in the yard because we live in the country, so we have some messy zones. You may not have access to some tall dry grass to make your straw. That's okay. There's lots of options out there. So one thing that you might want to think about if you don't have the straw like I did, you may have some plastic straws, not the best environmentally friendly toy, but hey, we're going to be responsible and make sure they go in the trash when we're done. The next thing were the sticks. You may have better luck with finding those around. Just try to get the same diameter and cut them all about the same length for building the stick house. Don't have access to sticks? No problem. You might have popsicle sticks or something else around that you could use for building. Just think about the size. And then lastly, like I said, for the bricks, if you've got some blocks of some kind around that you could build with, that works great. What I like to do when I'm working with multiple children is I give the youngest child the easiest one, which is the bricks, aka blocks. Then the middle child gets the sticks, and the oldest one gets the straw, that being a little bit trickier. However, don't let them be discouraged, because I've seen some pretty strong houses made out of straw or our straw substitute. So to help them out, because lashing is kind of tricky, I know a lot of grown-ups that have trouble with that, give them some things we may have laying around the house, like rubber bands, some string, some yarn, twine, things like that, and of course some scissors, and give them a chance to exercise their building skills. If you have fewer than 3 kids, no problem. You might want to just work as a family, or just have the kids work on it and while their parents doing something else or adult, and come back and check on them. So you can work together on the straw house, then the brick house, then the block or brick house. These are suggested ways of building, but I don't want to make you or say this is how it has to be, because there is no right or wrong. We are going to test them when we're done though. But first I want to show you some substitutes that might be a little fun, especially if you don't have access to those materials. There's other things you may have in your kitchen that would work. So pasta, spaghetti, dry spaghetti noodles, cutting them in half makes them a little bit easier to work with. And what I've done, if you've got mini marshmallows, that makes the best kind of sticky. But I had big marshmallows, so I just pinched them into smaller bits. And you see I've got a nice little place to get started here. Then sticks. Okay, what about stick pretzels? And how do you keep them from rolling off, because they are roly-poly? Peanut butter. So get some peanut butter for the mortar, as long as you don't have any peanut allergies in the house. And put your sticks or pretzel sticks and stack them up together with peanut butter. And then finally, our last edible ingredient would be graham crackers instead of bricks or blocks. And again, you can use, if you've got some ready-made icing or more peanut butter, to hold them together. So those are just some ideas for construction. Then here comes the test. Who has the strongest house? So you can huff and puff and blow them over, or a little more hygienic way is to take a hair dryer, and each house gets tested when the construction is final, and to see how they do with the hair dryer, how they last. And just to add one more thing, talking about wolves, and of course, was the wolf a bad character in our story? No, not really. She just had allergies, right? That's why think about North Carolina. You may have seen the North Carolina Zoo Adventures talked about the highly endangered red wolves that we have at the North Carolina Zoo. And North Carolina is the only place in the world where they live in the wild. So our wolves are really cool, and they are not bad characters. They're actually kind of the underdog. So if you haven't seen it, it's on our YouTube channel. Check it out and just kind of round this out and talk about how you think stories may be and how you can test things out by what kind of construction method is the strongest. Thanks, and I'll see you next time.